Good morning, students. Yesterday, we had a discussion about the very last Coulomb's law. Some primary information about that we discussed in the yesterday's class. Just to revise few of the things, I'll once again start with Coulomb's law very quickly. I'll come to the steps which I had been yesterday. So let me revise you the things which I discussed in the yesterday's class. Coulomb's law. I had told you that Coulomb's law helps us to deal with force between charges. And yesterday we have stated it. If I have 2-point charges, and even I had told you what is the actual meaning of point charges. Two charges are said to be point if they are present on a body of negligible dimensions. Charge to be referred as a point charge. So I have 2-point charges separated by distance r. Then the force of attraction or repulsion, which will of course will get decided by nature of charges, according to this law, is directly proportional to product of magnitude of these two charges. More the product, more is the force. Less the product, less is the force. It is also found to be dependent on separation between two charges, and that dependence is inversely to the square of distance between two charges, inversely to the square of separation between two charges. That's what I have written. This combinedly I had written, if you remember, F proportional to Q1 Q2 divided by R square. And even yesterday I had mentioned, any equation we don't prefer to have in a proportionality sign. Rather, when studying physics, we try to get it into equal to sign. That's what I had done. While doing so, I had taken one constant Q1 Q2 divided by R square. If you remember, I had mentioned experimentally calculated value of this constant, and it is, we had written 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 is the value of constant, which you can refer as a electrostatic constant or Coulomb constant. This is the value of Coulomb constant what I am writing. And also spoken about the different terms which I have in that constant, except one. Remaining all are very much familiar to you all. Focusing about that, the one which is new to us, I mean epsilon naught. If you remember, I had mentioned that epsilon naught as absolute permittivity. So what is epsilon naught? Absolute permittivity. If you remember, I had told you that permittivity is the parameter of the given media which speaks about ability of that media to allow for interaction between charges. So I mean, to what extent the force between charges you are going to have, whether it is going to be more or less, that all is going to get governed by the term, by the parameter which we call as a absolute permittivity. Absolute we use for vacuum or free space. I also mentioned that the word permittivity itself tells what the role it plays. Permittivity, it has ability to give the permission to what extent they are going to interact. So the word permittivity. If you remember, value of absolute permittivity I had mentioned yesterday, 8.854 10 to the power minus 12. So this is the value of absolute permittivity. Now continuing ahead, in the today's class, first I would like to know unit of this newly introduced term, I mean permittivity. So before I go to the unit of permittivity, I should know the unit of charge. In the very beginning of this chapter, I had just mentioned about what is charge, an intrinsic property of matter responsible for electric force I had mentioned. I had also mentioned that charge is a scalar quantity. So I mean, to understand it thoroughly, to describe it completely, you never talk about direction of charge. So scalar quantity. Now I had not spoken anything about unit of charge. So before I go to the unit of permittivity, I need to spend time on the unit of charge. So let me go ahead to know about unit of charge. Generally, when talking unit of any physical quantity, we do mention two types of the units. One, SI unit, and another obviously CGS unit. So first, let me talk about SI unit of electric charge. For your information, SI unit of electric charge is named after scientist Coulomb. So the SI unit of electric charge is Coulomb. And you know, for every unit you have studied in the first year, while studying units and measurement, certain rules are there. While writing the abbreviations of any unit of any physical quantity, you will have to go with well decided abbreviation for that unit. And for Coulomb, the abbreviation we write as a capital C. Capital C for Coulomb, SI unit of electric charge. But when it comes to any unit, any new unit, we need to define that unit. As such, in the SI system, you have got 7 fundamental units and 2 supplementary. One of that 7 fundamental units, you have got the unit called ampere, electric unit of electric current, ampere. So that is going to be my basic to define even Coulomb also. For your information, electric current we define as, you have studied at lower classes, of course, up to this chapter. We will have the next chapter all about dealing with current only. But you have an idea how to define as a basically about current. We call it as a mathematically, if I speak, charge per unit time. So this is the basic I use to go ahead to define unit of electric charge. I rewrite this Q equal to I into T, and then as I mentioned that unit of electric charge is coulomb. Say I want to define 1 coulomb. I'll have that current as a 1 ampere and I'll have that time as a 1 second. And by referring to this, I can define unit of electric charge. I would say the charge flowing through the conductor is said to be 1 coulomb if 1 ampere of current flows through that conductor for 1 second. I repeat, charge is said to be 1 coulomb if 1 ampere of current flows through the conductor in 1 second. So this is how the unit which I introduced you about electric charge we can define 1 coulomb. Remember, okay. So coming to the next, we have got CGS unit of electric charge, and let me talk about CGS unit. CGS unit of electric charge is stat coulomb. What is CGS unit? Stat coulomb, or even we call it as a ESU. One more unit, I mean same for the stat coulomb, you can also refer as ESU, electrostatic unit. ESU, electrostatic unit. Now when I mentioned that CGS unit is stat coulomb, I do need to talk about what is the relation between these two, coulomb and stat coulomb. Like generally 1 meter, meter is a unit of length, centimeter is a unit of length in CGS, and you know very well how the unit from one system to the another system is related, at least fundamentally remember. Whereas when it comes to finding the relation for the different unit, you have done it in dimension. As such fundamental relations you know, like 1 meter equal to 1000 centimeter. In that way, 1 meter equal to 100 centimeter. In that way, I can think of having the relation between coulomb and stat coulomb. And for your information, 1 coulomb is equal to 3 into 10 to the power 9 stat coulomb, or 3 into 10 to the power 9 electrostatic unit you can write. Need to be remembered, because while solving the numericals you may have to refer that. So the relation between coulomb and stat coulomb, I have mentioned that. In addition to this, whenever we happen to talk about the unit of charge in magnetism, we have another unit for the charge in magnetism, and that unit we call as ab coulomb. What is that? Ab coulomb, or even you can mention as a EMU, electromagnetic unit. So the unit of electric charge in magnetism, and we, of course, we shall discuss about that. We mention it as a amp coulomb or electromagnetic unit, you can say. And for your information, 1 amp coulomb you have got equal to 1/10 of coulomb. Like the relation between coulomb and stat coulomb I have mentioned. Likewise, if you are interested to know what is the relation between coulomb and amp coulomb, you can remember in this way. So this is about few important things in connection with unit of electric charge. Now, once I am familiar with unit of electric charge, let me go back to know the unit of the term which I had introduced you. I had written just value. I did not mention the unit of this absolute permittivity. So then let me make that unit available first, and then I'll go to the further things. So let's know about unit of permittivity. To know the unit of permittivity, what I shall do is that I'll go back to Coulomb's law. Here is the equation, mathematical form of the Coulomb's equation. I just borrow that equation from there. F equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 q1 q2 by r square. So my interest is unit of this. I will rearrange this equation. I shall write it as 4 pi epsilon 0 1 by f q1 q2 divided by r square. So my interest is to know the unit of this. So what I get to know is that in this equation, these are the two terms which do not have unit, unitless. Constant they are. Now this is number, this is constant. Pi do not have unit. It is a dimensionless constant, unitless constant, you can say. So then my focus has to be only like only on the right hand side directly. Because to the left hand side, whatever the terms I have got except permittivity, remaining all are dimensionless, unitless. So you mean if I work out the unit, if I work out this unit, that ultimately is going to give me the unit of permittivity. And whatever the terms I have got to the right hand side, all of them are very much familiar to me. I know the unit of every individual to the right hand side. I mean about charge, just now I have spoken. Force, already you are well known. Distance is a known unit. So let us substitute all of them so that we can arrive to the unit of permittivity. And I write then permittivity equals to unit of charge, product of charges I have got. So obviously coulomb into coulomb, I write it as a coulomb square divided by force I have got. Unit of force I know, Newton. Meter square I have. Sorry, distance square I have. Unit of distance is meter. Meter square I can write. And thus I have now arrived at unit of permittivity. So I write this as per the rules for writing the unit. Of course, nothing wrong. But let me follow that. Unit of physical quantity need to be written in a single line. And while doing so, whatever the terms you have got in denominator need to be taken in the numerator by assigning negative power. And that's what I will do here. So the unit of permittivity I have coulomb square per Newton per meter square. So here I have got now unit of absolute or a unit of internal. It is not necessarily to be only for absolute. Even you can write this as a unit of permittivity. So the unit of permittivity I have got this one. Let me just take that over here, right? So that my value will be completely written like Coulomb square per Newton per meter square. So this is the value of absolute permittivity. So once I became familiar with unit of charge, I could get the unit of permittivity also. So soon after doing this, let me have dimensions of permittivity also, because there are the questions, at least one in the competitive exam where you will be asked dimensions of physical quantity that you have come across in a 11th as well as 12th standard syllabus. So let's go with dimensions of permittivity. You know the simple steps to get the dimensions of any physical quantity. You need to know a equation which involves the quantity whose dimension you want to know, you want to get. Then obviously my choice is going to be again here, going here. I need the dimensions of permittivity. I will simply write this equation for permittivity, and I have got permittivity equal to Q1 Q2 divided by F into R square. 4 pi and all I am not writing because they are dimensionless. Now I need to know dimensions of charge. Remember, charge is not fundamental. So while writing the dimensions of any derived quantity, you need to have that in a fundamental quantity form, and then you get the dimension. So you can go over here, Q. Dimensions of current, you know, abbreviation we use as I or A. Dimensions of time, one in time we write, capital T we write. Whereas dimensions of force already I have studied. Mass into acceleration I write, and then mass dimension 1 in mass, acceleration dimension 1 in length, and 2 minus 2 in time. So let me substitute directly, because already you have thoroughly studied about how to get the dimension. So to arrive at the dimensions of permittivity, dimensions of charge as I mentioned, 1 in ampere, 1 in time. As I have got Q and Q square like I have got. So I will write this as a 2 in ampere, A for ampere I am writing, and 2 in the time. For one charge, AT it is. Two charges are there. Q square like you have got. Nature quantity is same. Q1, Q2, just that is to discriminate. They are two different charges. May have a different magnitude. Okay. Whereas the denominator I have got force, and I shall write dimensions of force directly. What are those? 1 in mass, 1 in length, minus 2 in time. So these are the dimensions of force. Whereas R I have got, distance I have got, square of that, 2 in length I will write. And now just combining together dimensions of permittivity. Again I need to write dimension in a single line. So let me write that then. Mass, only one mass I have throughout the equation, but I need to take that in the numerator. So it is 1 in mass. Whereas length, here I have got 1, here I have got 1. So this L to the power, I will roughly I will say L to the power I should not say, 3 in length I have. That is to be taken in the numerator. minus 3 in length. Whereas time, I have got 1 here and another time factor is here. So I will take this up. So I will get it as minus will become plus 4 in time. And left out is ampere, 2 in ampere. So this is dimensional formula for permittivity. Complete equation, dimensional formula I have got. If you ask me what are the dimensions of permittivity, I would say minus 1 in mass, minus 3 in length, 4 in time and 2 in ampere. So these are the dimensions of permittivity. Now I got the unit of permittivity, I got the dimensions of permittivity. Now let me take you ahead very quickly. While discussing all this in Coulomb's law, we arrived to a constant there, and with that constant only all this discussion has happened. So K equal to constant, Coulomb constant equal to, for the charges being in the vacuum or air, we could write that 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0. Now my further focus is to know value of Coulomb constant. I need to work out value of this 1 upon 4 by epsilon 0, very Coulomb's constant. And chop it simple. What I will have to do, just substitute all the terms which I have there. Everybody's value I know. Like 4 is a number, pi is a constant, and epsilon not a introduced to its value. So what I need to do is that just substitute that. And once I do that, with a few steps of calculations, I will be arriving to the value of this constant. Like 4, this you can substitute 22 by 7 or 3.141. This you have got 8.854 10 to the power minus 12. After doing this calculation, you can do that at your leisure time. You get this as 9 into 10 to the power 9. Now again the question is that, do this constant has unit? Yes, we do have. This constant is calculated by this. Over here to the right hand side I have got a quantity which has got a unit dimensions. So then my job is just rearrange the unit of this. It is a denominator. What is the unit of permittivity? Coulomb square per Newton per meter square. That should go up. Because K equal to reciprocal of permittivity you got as far as unit is concerned. So I can write then Newton meter square per Coulomb square. So the value of Coulomb constant I have got 9 into 10 to the power 9 Newton meter square per Coulomb square. And even if you are willing to have the dimensions of Coulomb's constant, what you need to do, again like a unit I did, you just take the reciprocal of dimensions of permittivity. If I ask what are the dimensions of Coulomb constant, my answer is already ready. What are the dimensions? 1 in mass, 3 in length, minus 4 in time, and minus 2 in ampere. So these are the dimensions of Coulomb's constant. Now once I have done with all this, let me go ahead to talk more again with permittivity. There are few more interesting things to talk about permittivity. So let's go ahead. Okay. So continuing ahead our discussion about permittivity, I'll introduce you with relative permittivity. Until now, while talking permittivity, I was just speaking about absolute permittivity and a permittivity of free space or permittivity of vacuum, we say. But whenever I happen to deal with permittivity of any another media other than air or vacuum, while doing so, we happen to focus more on relative permittivity of that media rather than permittivity. See, permittivity of that media. The word relative comes whenever you happen to compare with somebody else. It's like my performance it is. Relative performance, when I compare my performance with somebody else, I happen to talk about relative. In the same way, I would like to remember or I would like to express always permittivity of any media in comparison with permittivity of air or vacuum. So I would like to express permittivity of any media in compare with absolute permittivity. And doing so, we call it as a relative permittivity, which can be calculated. Relative permittivity of any media can be calculated. I represent epsilon R for relative. Relative permittivity of the given media, I can write permittivity of that media to that of absolute permittivity. That's what I say. When I compare with somebody else, who is that somebody else here? Absolute. So this is how, when I have to calculate relative permittivity of any media, I calculate in this way. Relative permittivity equal to permittivity of that media by absolute permittivity. Say for example, I want to know permittivity of the given media, and generally values of relative permittivity of the respective medias are being expressed rather than permittivity. Then can I get permittivity by having the relative permittivity? Yes. I can write this as permittivity equal to relative permittivity into epsilon naught and absolute permittivity. After doing this, say for example, the charges which I spoke in the Coulomb's law, Q1, Q2, they are not in the air media or vacuum, rather they are in some other media like water, they are in water. If you ask me to write Coulomb's law in mathematical form, I will write that F equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon Q1 Q2 divided by R square. Okay, this is epsilon. What I expect from the term epsilon? Epsilon is the permittivity of the media in which the two charges are present. That's it. But the same I can express in terms of relative permittivity, and generally that we do. What I can do, this permittivity I will write in terms of relative permittivity and absolute permittivity, and my equation will become in that case then F equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon R and relative permittivity into epsilon naught Q1 Q2 divided by R square. So what I have done? I have written permittivity of that given media in terms of relative permittivity. That's it, nothing else. Now going back, if I ask you the unit of relative permittivity, or dimensions of relative permittivity. You don't have any unit. It simply represent the ratio of same two physical quantities. It represents ratio of same physical quantities, like permittivity by permittivity. Only thing, this is just permittivity and absolute permittivity, specifying for vacuum or air, you can say. So permittivity do not have any unit, just it is a ratio, it's a number which will talk about permittivity of given media in comparison with permittivity of vacuum. Say for example, I am being told that relative permittivity is 4. What does it mean? The given media has got permittivity 4 times to that of the vacuum. Yani its ability to allow the interaction for the charges is 4 times to that of the vacuum. That's how the term relative permittivity does the work or speaks for. And for your information, this relative permittivity is also called as dielectric constant. The relative permittivity is also called as dielectric constant. Now when I say dielectric, I hope you have an idea what it means by. Insulators are also called dielectrics. Insulators, bad conductors, are called dielectric. Then the constant which talks about ability of the insulators to allow for electric interaction. Remember that through insulator you don't get charges moving. There are no free charges in insulator. Rather, effect of charges can get propagated. And what's the effect of charges? I'll speak in the coming classes, electric field. You can have the electric field propagating through the dielectrics, but not the charges. You can have the interaction between the charges in the dielectric, but not the motion of charges. So then, about such insulators, to talk its ability to allow for electric interaction, we have a term called dielectric constant. And it is simply nothing but relative permittivity. Dielectric constant is nothing else but relative permittivity. So I can write the dielectric constant K. See, the earlier K and this K, that's something different K I had written, 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0. This capital K refers to dielectric constant. And as I mentioned, dielectric constant is nothing but relative permittivity. Relative permittivity already I have defined. Permittivity of the given media to that of the absolute permittivity. You can have in this way. But I would like to get the value of dielectric constant between different fashion. So what I do is that I'll take 2 point charges, and those 2 point charges I'll arrange in an air or vacuum at the separation R. And now if I ask you to tell me the force between these 2 charges, obviously you will seek an assistance of Coulomb, Coulomb's law. And from Coulomb's law, force between these 2 charges you can write 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 q1 q2 by r square. So for the charges being in air or vacuum, I have got force between those two charges given by this. So I will specify this by symbol subscript A. So what this equation I have got for representing force between given two charges at given separation in the air or vacuum. Now instead of having these two charges in the air or vacuum, suppose same two charges, I mean Q1 and Q2 at the same separation, but now I am going to put them in a media other than air or vacuum. So I have now these two charges in another media. Which is that media? It's not air or vacuum, any another media, dielectric media, insulating media, say water itself, water air. Then now the force between these two charges I can write as F, I'll write a subscript M for given media. 1 upon 4 pi epsilon you will have to write first. And that epsilon, how to write in this, I have just already spoken about. It is relative permittivity to absolute permittivity. Relative permittivity we have also referred as a dielectric constant. So I shall write then this K into epsilon naught. Q1, Q2 divided by R square. So what I have got now this equation for force between same two charges at the same separation, but in another dielectric. Air is also dielectric, vacuum is also dielectric, insulating, doesn't allow charges to move. So another dielectric, the force I have got this much. Now what I do simply is that I'll take the ratio of these two forces, I mean force in the air to that of force in the given medium. Force in the air I have got given by this equation 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 Q1 Q2 by R square. Force in the another media is given by this equation 1 upon 4 pi K epsilon 0 Q1 Q2 by R square. Simple steps you can follow. You can cancel them, whatever it can be. And when you do that, this 1 upon 4 by 1 upon 4 by epsilon, this right and Q1 Q2 by R square, the whole thing is going to get cancelled. What remains is K equals to FA divided Fn. Here I have arrived to an important equation which will guide me, which will help me to calculate dielectric constant for any given media. So when it comes to calculating dielectric constant for any media, what I simply do, take two charges, arrange them at certain separation in the air initially, know the force, same two charges take into the given dielectric, whose constant I want to know, keep them at same separation, get the force, and once you are done with this, once you are done with Fa and Fm, next is a simple job for you. Take the ratio of this Fa and Fm, that will give you the value of dielectric constant. Let me put this, whatever procedure I followed, let me put this in words. Dielectric constant of the given media is the ratio of force between given two charges at a given separation in an air to that of force between same two charges at the same separation in the given media. So this is my definition for dielectric constant, I would say. I repeat, dielectric constant of the given media is equal to force between given two charges placed at given separation in air to that of force between same two charges placed at same separation in the given media. So this is how I can get value of dielectric constant or relative permittivity, you can say. So hope you got me this. And remember that relative permittivity value is, dielectric constant value is always greater than 1. For the vacuum it is 1. For the vacuum it is 1. When I'm working out dielectric constant for vacuum, I like this as epsilon naught, this as epsilon naught. And ultimately I have equal to 1. For the air, slightly less than 1. For vacuum, equal to 1. For air, 1.0035. For the vacuum, 1. And for all other media, like glass, water, wood, whatever it is. So the value of dielectric constant is greater than 1. For the water, it is somewhere around 8, you can say. So in that way, any dielectric media you take, its value is greater than 1, you can say. So after this, let me move ahead. Okay, so with this background, I would like to have certain important discussions, and particularly that will help you in the competitive exams. Like, for these two charges, that is separation R, when they are in the air or vacuum, I know the force is calculated as right. Whereas when I have what? Same these two charges in another dielectric. I mean this whole place, they are placed in say water. The intervening media between these two charges have water. In that case, the force I get now, force between two charges in the water or whatever the media, 1/4 pi K into epsilon naught Q1 Q2 divided by R square. Got my point? When the two charges are placed in another media completely at a separation R, then the force between those two charges I get given by this equation. Having this understood, let me visualize a situation where I have like this. And what is that? I have same two charges again. I have placed them at the same separation. I mean R. Separation R. But what I did is that now part of the intervening media, part of the space, I am getting filled with another dielectric. And how much is that part or how much is that space which I have filled with another dielectric? Let us say some T. T like distance this much in another dielectric I have. But the question is that how much is the force now? Should I go only with this? Should I go only with this? Or what should I do? See, alone I cannot go with this only. Because for that separation between two charges completely it has to be in the air vacuum. Thinking that dielectric is there, let me go here. Again I will have a problem. Because this equation I have got for two charges being completely in the dielectric other than air. See, a complete separation is another dielectric. But in this case, I have part in the air as a dielectric and part as another dielectric of, let us say, constant K. So this dielectric media, which is partially there to fill the gap between two charges. Then in such cases, what I will have to do is that I will have to work out equivalent separation for this dielectric slab. What I have to do? Equivalent separation for this dielectric slab. So let me introduce that concept of equivalent separation. So let's go ahead. Say for example, I have these two charges Q1 and Q2. Those two charges I have placed in a dielectric of constant K. Separation between those two charges, let us say it is T. Separation between these two charges is T. And if I ask you now what is the force between those two charges in the given media, I will say it is 1 upon 4 pi K epsilon naught Q1 Q2 by T square. Now, what I do is that same charges, those two charges, instead of keeping in the given dielectric, I would keep them in a air as a dielectric. In a vacuum, I will keep. Say at a separation T dash. At what separation? T dash, let us say. Now, may I calculate the force between these two charges? Definitely. I would get that Fa equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0. Absolute vacuum I am dealing. Where I am dealing? Q1 Q2 divided by T dash square. So what is this? Force between those two charges when they are placed in vacuum. So in case if I make such an adjustment for this distance, what I am doing? By trial and error method I have done that. What did I do? I have arranged these these two charges, say these two charges in an air vacuum at such a separation. For your information, before I go ahead, let me just make it clear. If I ask you, two charges are placed in air, you get a force given by this equation. When the same two charges are placed in another dielectric, you get a force given by this equation, and compare these two forces. You will find that force between two charges given two charges for a given separation will have maximum in the air, will have maximum in the vacuum, because you have got additional term in the denominator here. Even that FA by FM, you can remember that ratio has come greater than 1, which simply means that force between given two charges is maximum for the given separation in the air. Now what adjustment I have to do here when I bring these two charges in the vacuum, air, to have this force between those two charges same, whatever I had when they were in the given dielectric, I will have to go with this change in the separation. To have the force in the air same as to that of whatever I had in the earlier medium. I just now I told FA is greater if I keep the same separation, but I don't want to have that FA more. So what I will have to do, charges I don't change, same charges. Then what adjustment will I have to make? To reduce the force, separation I am increasing. Earlier it was T, now I have made T dash. And up to what I have made increase that separation until force in the air becomes equal to force whatever I had in the earlier dielectric. So what? I will substitute the value of FA 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 Q1 Q2 by T dash square. This is equal to 1 upon 4 pi K epsilon 0 Q1 Q2 by T square. Whatever things possible to cancel, you cancel. Like 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 equal to none. Q1 Q2 will get cancelled. And what you are left out with is T dash square equal to K into T square. And this gives me T dash equal to root of K into T. And I have arrived at one very important equation which is going to guide me in the competitive examinations. So this T dash I will call as the equivalent distance to T. What that T dash is called? Equivalent distance to T. So whenever I have to deal with such complex situation where I have to calculate force between two charges which have got intervening media partially as air and partially another dielectric. Had it been completely air as a dielectric or any another dielectric, I could have done very easily. But as I have got part as air and part another, as like I have shown in the figure, I should be aware of the concept called equivalent separation or equivalent distance. So equivalent distance I simply get as a root of dielectric constant times the separation between two charges in the given medium. So this is the important thing to be noted. And once I am done with this, once I am available with this, I can substitute the values and go ahead to work out force between those two charges. So this we will do in the tomorrow's class. If composite slabs are there and many more things, we will continue in the tomorrow's class. So till then, goodbye.